Some of you have written to me marveling at the collapse of the Democrat Party. As you know, they are no longer a national party, posing no ideas that have a national appeal. Still, some of you are wondering, why now? How can Democrats collapse so completely, so quickly? The truth is, they've always been like this. But it took President Trump's takeover of John Cornyn's and Paul Ryan's GOP to finally draw a real and substantive contrast with the leftist party. Democrats suffer the fate they intended for the USA. That's my focus in today's preamble. Yesterday, I showed you a Quinnipiac poll. For the first time in the poll's history, congressional Democrats are underwater with their own voters and approval ratings. They're at -5, folks. Meanwhile, congressional Republicans are nearing all-time highs. Now, why is that? The answer is twofold, but before I get to that, let's eliminate one factor, shall we? The Republican Party. Under Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, John Cornyn, Liz Cheney, and other America Last Republicans, the GOP had prized bipartisanship, while their alleged Democrat opponents sought complete control. In modern-day Washington, pre-Trump, bipartisanship was another way of saying giving the Democrats everything they want. It's the best way for Republicans to get invited to all those great cocktail parties in Washington, you see. Sure, they sold out their voters in the process, but hey, that's life in the swamp. Just look at the GOP's conduct since taking over the House in 2022. Divided government meant GOP voters got nothing, zero. Elected Republicans, at least those in leadership, were completely cool with that. So back to the central question of why are GOP numbers so high and Democrat numbers so low? Well, part one is President Trump. Donald J. Trump campaigned with promises, and he went right to work fulfilling those promises. He did it in his first term. He's doing it now. President Trump is living up to the mandate that the voters gave him. Will Republicans live up to his example by codifying his efforts into law, earning those high poll numbers? Well, hope springs eternal. The other side of the equation is the complete collapse of the Democrat Party and narrative. Judging solely by their actions and performance, the Democrat Party has been deemed as an anti-American party, run by the first ever anti-American occupier of the Oval Office, Barack Obama. Since he took over the party in 2008, Obama and his squad sycophants have flooded the government with leftists, punished the American people relentlessly, lost historic numbers of seats, and turned our government away from protecting us into an entity that targets us in the finest tradition of communist China and Soviet Russia. Americans found out, they felt the pain, and rejected the Democrat Party. Their agents in the press tried to lie to the American people, you remember this, for 4 years about Joe Biden's mental acuity, placing at risk our very lives and national security. So the nation has tuned out the dishonest press. So the propaganda machine, folks, is broken, perhaps forever. Democrats have no way to con the American people anymore. They will be judged solely on their actions. So what do Democrats have left? Just themselves.
So on this next ballot, you will be able to vote for 2 candidates of any gender on the next ballot. If 2 candidates receive, I'm going to turn to Helen to clarify this last part.
You are in this next ballot where you have 2 votes. As the chair has said, you may vote for 2 males, 2 females, 2 of any gender. Okay? Nope, you can't do that because we've got to balance. You could vote for 1 of any gender. Okay? Or no, non-binary gender, excuse me.
Did you get all that? The party of gender confusion is confused, mandating that people who get the job check every box except the I'm qualified for my job box. Speaking of box checking.
Hello, Democrats. Hey, I am speaking. I'm at this podium, and I deserve your attention like the 11 people who went before me. Yes, I am speaking.
That's right. Pay attention to me, not because I have anything of value to say, but because I have a particular skin color. We learned a couple of things about Democrats from this. First, the Democrats stand in stark opposition to the prescription offered to our country by the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You see, he said we should be judging folks by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. But on character, what does it say about the Democrats? when they themselves scheduled the black woman to speak after 11 others. And while I'm on character,
because we in these hot Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess, honey.
classy. That's the AOC of Texas folks, Jasmine Crockett. She is the definition of the modern-day Democrat. She referred to the governor of my state, Governor Greg Abbott, who has been confined to a wheelchair for most of his adult life, as Governor Hot Wheels. And Democrats in the audience applauded, much the same way they applauded terrorist acts at Tesla dealerships.
They're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh?
Yes, they do. They are left-wingers, after all. These people are mean, violent, racist, crazy, and thoroughly anti-American, and real Americans know it. The answer to all of this isn't to lower our nation's standards to appeal to these lunatics. The answer is to defeat these people, to ensure they don't bring harm to this country ever again. The Democrats are divided and in a state of collapse. Ironically, the same thing they tried to do to the United States. It would be unwise, and I would say disqualifying for any Republican to try and rescue the Democrat Party. Congressman Byron Donalds said it best in our interview yesterday. The GOP should be saying to disaffected Democrat voters who wish to remain Americans, the best thing you can do in the Democrat Party is to leave, the same way Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Congressman Van Drew, and countless others have done. The America First Coalition awaits you. You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.